Well, hello there, my beautiful fellow space blobs. This is a new moon that is really meant for those of us who feel that way about moving through this life. This is such a quiet, precious moment in the year, this new moon. I feel like we only get a new moon like this maybe once a year. They don't happen that often. This kind of special, quiet energy that is coming with this Pisces new moon. It's opening up Pisces season. So it's happening February 19th into the 20th, right as the sun is entering Pisces. The sun and moon come together at 1 degree of Pisces and open up this really, really potent season. The next several weeks are going to be so much about how we are changing, how we are ending one energetic cycle as a collective, as individuals, and opening another. This is a really important new moon for taking a sacred pause, taking a breath. And as soon as I tapped into this energy, which if you hung out with me for a little while, you know I have a kind of a deep love of Piscean energy. It's a place I like to go. It's a place that I like to spend some time. So I'm always happy when I can get to be here. But when I tapped into this energy of this new moon, which it doesn't have any aspects, it's just sitting there quietly at 1 degree, having this moment of breath. I just got this image of sitting in the middle of a totally quiet ocean. There's no winds, there's no storms, and the sea of stars over my head. And sitting there and feeling that quiet, hearing my breath, feeling my spirit, befriending my spirit again, getting curious about myself, and in that quiet moment finding so much peace. And that image just won't leave my mind. In fact, I'm going to be really playing on that over on the activation over on Patreon. If you are part of that community over there, I'm very excited to explore that with you. But this is just this quiet, sacred, grace-filled new moon. And not a lot else is happening at this moment during this new moon, which I just really love. Like I said, we don't get new moons like this very often, where it isn't about a whole bunch of conversations and squares and oppositions and even trines and sextiles and things happening and getting from here to there and what are we going to envision and what spiritual homework are we going to do. It's this quiet moment of grace. And that is just so beautiful to me. And symbolically, I think this is really important, this 1 degree new moon. A 1 degree new moon, first of all, it's like a fresh blank sheet of paper that we're about to make beautiful art on or write beautiful words on, write beautiful poetry on. But this is also a new moon that's happening as we're on the verge of some really big shifts. And we're going to be seeing those shifts in the coming months in all sorts of ways. Saturn and Pluto and the nodes and all sorts of things are happening this year. And even during this new moon, we have a couple of planets that are just teetering on moving into a new sign. We have Venus at 29 degrees of Pisces that's ready to just spill on over into Aries. We have Pluto sextiling that Venus during this new moon, actually, at 29 degrees of Capricorn, getting ready to make its first entrance into Aquarius, which will happen after Pisces season, just after Pisces season ends. But still, we're just feeling this sense of we're nearly opening something up. And of course, this new moon is happening right before we have Saturn moving into Pisces. Just a little bit down the line, right? So like during Pisces season, we will be experiencing that Saturn shift. So there's this really, I think, important moment to take here at this 1 degree new moon in Pisces. It's important to have just a quiet moment. I think this is a moment, it's to let go of, you know, all the to-do lists, all the maybe spiritual homework we're doing on getting prepared for Saturn and Pisces and what that's going to mean and what that's going to look like and how we're going to do it. what areas of our life it's going to affect. This is a moment to, let go of the to-do lists, let go of all the like ambitions we have, of like who we need to be, what career we need to have, what kind of person we're going to date or marry, what kind of house we're going to live in, all of those things, which are valid. It's valid to have dreams and ambitions, of course, and to experience ourselves as individuals and experience our preferences and experience our dreams. That's a beautiful thing. But sometimes it's just nice to have a moment where we let go of all of that. We let go of the control. We let go of the envisioning. We let go of the plotting. We let go of the trying to control it with our to-do lists or our ideas. And we just are here, getting curious about ourselves, befriending our spirits, hearing the sound of our own breath. It's that sacred breath, which is the stuff of life. So many mystic traditions, so many poetic traditions speak of breath and the quietness of that breath and how it represents spirit and our experience of spirit in this physical world. And with that quietness, there's a couple things that come to mind for me. One, as this is this new moon that is helping us close out a cycle, which is Saturn in Aquarius, it's nice to just take a moment to notice what you no longer carry with you. And I know that can be bittersweet. That can go to some deep places, but it can also feel very freeing and comforting. You might also notice what you no longer want to carry with you or what you no longer need to carry with you in this moment of quiet and breath. And I think that can feel so freeing and liberating. The other thing that came to mind for me as I sat in this quiet space and I just imagined myself sitting on that ocean with the blanket of stars beneath me, I thought about letting go of all the pressure we have to figure out who we are, figure out what we are doing with this life, what our purpose is, who we're going to date, what our career is going to be, what we're going to make, all of those things. We spend a lot of energy in this life trying to figure those things out and getting a handle on them and knowing what they are and being aware. And I know this community, we all want to do our homework and be aware and check in and tap in and figure it out. But every once in a while, it's really great to let go of all the assumptions we make about ourselves, all the identities and shapes that we put on ourselves, and let go, like let it release just a little bit, not because there are the wrong shapes or the wrong paths or we're doing the wrong things for ourselves, because it just allows our spirit to speak to us clearly without all the assumptions sometimes we put on ourselves. And sometimes we can learn really interesting new things about our spirit, about our longings, about our desires, about where we want to head in life that I think is so powerful. And we can only really access that interesting information if we kind of don't put all that pressure on ourselves to perform the identities and the desires that we feel pressure to make happen in the world. And that's not all external pressure either. That can be stuff that we really do want as we live this life. But I think, our culture's so adamant that we have that stuff figured out and that we pursue it, that sometimes it's really nice to take a countercultural moment. And Pisces for me is the ultimate countercultural moment because it's about letting go of all those pressures and those time pressures and those identity pockets and those boxes and just sitting with our spirit and getting curious. Whenever I've done this in the past, I remember years ago, before I met my husband, I was very into this idea of dating a fire sign. I'm a fire sign. I have a lot of fire energy. And I thought, a power couple is going to be me and like a Sag or an Aries, let's get it. But then I realized at some point in that whole process that maybe I should just let go of any prescriptions I've put on what I think is the perfect thing for me, and just like be curious, like be totally open to what would really fit my spirit. Lo and behold, I ended up marrying a double Cancer. So, it's pretty much not Sagittarian energy, right? But that's just a very simple example. I think this can go in a lot of different directions and feel different for each of us. But for me, this is what this new moon is all about. Just letting go of all those pressures, all the purpose seeking, all the career seeking, partnership seeking, place seeking, just taking a moment to witness ourselves, to ritually close out the energetic cycles we've just moved through, and to be okay. It's like we don't even need, from this Pisces new moon for me, while there is that kind of seed planting energy when we're working with new moons, it's not a new moon that necessarily requires us to start processing what we're going to do with Saturn and Pisces, or what we're going to do for the rest of Pisces season, or what we're going to do for the rest of this year. As much as it is just a moment to be with ourselves and befriend our spirit. And here's the cool thing. I do think that, like, rather than this being about journaling and visualizing what we're going to do next, our spirit's going to surprise us. Our space blobness is going to surprise us, is going to give us some amazing information, some amazing insight, some amazing clarity, but only if we are willing to kind of soften up a little bit and just take that moment of breath. Let's see what cards want to come out here. I'm so intrigued by this Pisces season. I'm really curious to see how we're all going to feel as we move through it, and we are going to be moving through it together, so that's exciting to think about. King of Pentacles. He's been liking coming out, I feel like. Somehow, in all the work I've been doing, I feel like King of Pentacles shows up often. Six of Pentacles. Very grounded energy for a Piscean new moon. I'm going to pull one more card to go with all of this. And Two of Swords. Ah, classics. All three. So let's look at this. King of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Two of Swords. These are all very measured energies. You know, they're not about sudden action or sudden lightning strike moments. These are all about the process. This is all about the witnessing. You know, King of Pentacles is really interesting to me. It's tied to Taurus, right? But it's also in that like fixed earth sign energy, which is about the experience of time and how things come to fruition through time, through the experience of time, through the experience of being here, through process. It's that imagery of when we are tending to plants, to watch the seed come through the ground and slowly flower and do all of its magical things. You know, that's what King of Pentacles is all about. And I think this new moon, it's a reminder that there are new energetic cycles opening at this time. They really are. And this year really is about a whole bunch of new energetic cycles beginning. And that's beautiful. And it's to hold it gently, hold yourself gently, hold the process gently, understand that there are things that will be revealed with time, with gentleness, with openness, and not with like straining at the lead, straining ourselves to get through to the next thing. Rather just softening our stance a little bit. So King of Pentacles is always important as a reminder not to force our lives to happen. And then Six of Pentacles is a card of deep balance. And this is a complex image, right? It's a complex image having to do with balance and giving and receiving and that flow of money. It makes me think of that book by Tasha Silver. I think it's called The Money Isn't Yours. Money's Not Yours. And this is, I mean, it's not really about money, right? It's about where we are holding on too tight and where maybe we are being too loosey-goosey and just like letting everything go and finding a balance between those two. And I think this reminds me of what I mentioned with sitting and thinking about what we're no longer carrying with us, what we no longer need to carry with us, and perhaps also what is ready to be picked up, what is ready to be begun. We might just see the glimmerings of that as well. And it's just this beautiful moment of recognition. Now, Two of Swords has also been coming up, and I love this card, actually. I'm a really big fan of this card because it fits so well with what we've just been talking about with this 1 degree Pisces moon, because Two of Swords for me, it's not about making decisions. It's not about jumping to conclusions. It's not about getting the right answer. And it's not even really about being confused. I think a lot of times we'll see this card and it's like, oh, I must be just really confused and not know what to do and not know what answer it is. But this isn't a card of confusion. This is a card of taking a breath, taking a moment, getting quiet, listening before wielding these swords, before running to the next conclusion, before assuming a whole bunch of stuff about ourselves or our worth or our value or our path or any of those things. A Two of Swords is the sacred moment that we take to weigh things out in our heart, to allow our spirits to speak. I often think of this card as almost a protection and allowing us to take a pause before we feel we have to rush through life. All three of these cards are about the pause. They're about the pause that we take in figuring out what we value, figuring out what calls us forward, figuring out how we move forward. And I think it's less about the cerebral process during this new moon of figuring it out, pros and cons lists and all of that kind of stuff, as much as it is about if we give ourselves a pause. We just give ourselves the permission to not worry about the grand vision, all the to-dos of this year, the resolutions, the to-do lists, all of it. And we just give ourselves enough grace, enough breathing space to just let it go for a moment, for a whole evening, let's say, maybe even a whole day if you can swing it. That there's more information there than there will be in trying to strain at the leash or trying to force things. And that is going to be a logic we're going to be working with a lot during Pisces season. I'm just going to say that right now. So for those of you, those fire and earth signs out there, air signs, who are liking to have a goal and a vision and to pursue it in clear terms and just make it happen, this season is definitely has a different feel to it. It's not about making things happen. It's about kind of giving ourselves enough space to allow things to happen through us. It's a life practice, I admit. And I'm just so in love with this new moon. I am really looking forward to it. I feel a lot of warmth when I think about this topic. Like I mentioned, I am going to be going deep on this whole symbolism of sitting in the ocean. We're going to be activating this new moon over on Patreon. I really I love that community so much. And what I get to do there really feels so comforting and beautiful to me. I feel really safe in that space. I'd love to see you there. I really feel like I offer some beautiful things that I'm really proud of. I would love to see you on my Instagram. There's only one true Sarah Ver, but every once in a while a dupe moves through, but just follow the handle that I leave here and you'll be good. And then of course, this is quite the world we live in. I so appreciate any subscription, like, and comment. These are things that I know you hear it a million times, but they really change everything for me. They help me to continue to be here and do this work. So leave a comment for your girl up in here. And if you've stuck through to the end of this, like, yes, comment about how you connect to Space Blob life. I would love to hear it, and how you connect to this Pisces new moon and Piscean energy in general. I will see you also very soon. We got a Virgo full moon coming up next in our moon series, so that's going to be exciting. And I hope to see you there for that one. Talk to you all very, very soon.